Ong Lin is also in our group. He is Seattle's brother. So we're all here to find out more information about the property and the potential usage of if we were to proceed with the purchase. And I'm actually surprised that the county of Waller actually offer a Zoom meeting in the planning department. This has never happened in California. We would have to go to the county and request for a meeting, and usually we will meet one person and that's it. This is unusual, but I'm pretty sure this is amazing that I'm able to get the civil engineer on board and everybody in the room. And that's very unusual for me.
As much as we would love to see you in person, we'd also hate for you to have to go to the expense to fly in and then drive from where you flew in to come see us. So, So we're glad we're able to meet with you. Now, on our Zoom meetings, we don't get as much time as we would in person. So I'll try not to be too jabber-jolly, but it's rough. You can see Chris's sidelong look. Sometimes I talk a bit more than I need to. This particular piece of property.
Zoom meeting right now. Thank you.
Okay. So this piece of property, if you have some initial thoughts or a picture that you want to share, that's great. But we can pull up our GIS map and give you some initial thoughts that we have as a team, and we can probably give you some other information as well. So you can see where John's going. He went to our web page. Oh, you're not sharing yet. Okay. So on our web page, you can go to departments and go to engineering, and then there's a map, and when you click on the map, it brings you into this view, which shows you all of Waller County. You can turn on various layers, including parcels and addresses and floodplain. So there's a number of very interesting. 44703 is the R number. Yeah, I got it. Right. And so when we first look at this property, the thing that jumps out, and I think Min may have talked with Wayne. I think I might have heard something to that effect this week.
Well, I had sent an email.
Okay. You can see when we click on it, it highlights the property, gives you some information off to the side, but the blue that extends out beyond the parcel boundaries is all floodplain. And we have some very strong limitations as to what can be built within the floodplain. So we can't say don't buy a piece of property. That's fully up to you, but we can tell you that you will have some very severe limitations as to how much construction you can do on this piece of property. We require you to be 2 foot with the finished floor of your buildings above.
This is, excuse me, this is Zone A.
Right.
Without a FEMA study on it. So the surveyor will have to do an elevation certificate and make an approximate base flood elevation. And then any structure would have to be built on piers with no field dirt for the structure. And it would have to be 4 feet above the approximate base flood elevation. And so that's it's doable, but everything is going to have to be built kind of like a beach house, built up on piers, and it can't have like a concrete floor or anything like a regular house. The only place you could do a regular house or a facility is that one little piece right in the middle. There, I think there's an existing. If you turn on the background picture, there's like a barn or something out there already, and that is not in the floodplain. You can do anything you want to right there.
Well, for the most part, yeah. What happened to our aerial?
Yeah, where's the?
There it is.
Here we go.
They put it to the very top now.
Right.
Good.
So it is a beautiful piece of property, and we can understand the interest in it. But all of that blue area, the sort of more organic in edge, is definitely in that floodplain.
That means it could possibly go underwater.
Right. So
Sorry to interrupt really quick since we're on zone A. So because I cannot share my screen, I put in the chat box some photos of the homes that we intend to build. Yeah, so I don't know if you can view them.
I can give you. You can share. So.
Well, I put it in the chat box since my camp video is not on too.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
John, there's one more thing. If you turn on the creeks, river click, there's 3 different creeks that go through this property. One coming from the north, one coming from the south, and another creek coming from the east. So it's very flood potentially active. It's going to have a lot of water.
But being elevated is awesome. That's exactly what we'd be looking for. Now, Tanya can explain a few things as far as wastewater goes, because you'd be doing an on-site sewerage facility. But even on top of that, with floodplain, your bathrooms and your sinks and those sort of items would need to be up on that second floor. So anything that you needed for a sink or a bathroom or a mop basin would be upstairs. The downstairs area can be storage. You have to be very careful about how you are enclosing those areas because they would need to be vented with flood vents, or just completely open. But this kind of structure would definitely work within this property. So that's excellent to know. Tanya can tell you about wastewater requirements.
Good morning. So for the on-site septic, you will be required to have a aerobic spray system because that is in the floodplain. You can go to our website and get a list of our engineers, sanitarians, providers on there to assist you with that and design for the amount of homes and facilities you're going to have.
Can those sprays be within the floodplain?
Yes, the sprays can be within the floodplain. The system just has to be an aerobic spray system.
Okay, and the burying tanks can also be within
Yes.
the floodplain?
So whatever the required building height is, that's what all the electrical components are.
Okay.
That is a standard throughout the state and the local 285. And your designers will know that and be able to notate that.
So there is potential for this to work. Now, the 2 other items that you need to be aware of relative to developing this property. One would be we would consider it a commercial property for a couple different reasons. And part of that is because you would have multiple residences or multiple places for people to stay in transient housing. consider that commercial. When it's commercial, then we're going to look at the amount of impervious cover that you're adding. So even an elevated house, we're going to say that that roof space is impervious cover. And we would require some detention to be built. Now, it can be a standing pond if it's built below existing grade as far as the pond elevation goes. But that water is considered fill in the floodplain, which is why it would need to be below the current grade elevation to work. Additionally, generally we don't permit inline detention, so it would have to be set to the side of those creek lines. And I think that's feasible, and for the amount of rooftop that you'd be putting in and the amount of pavement you might be putting in, is still feasible, but you would want to go through a feasibility study with an engineer to be sure. And the second item, aside from the detention, is going to be our friend here with the fire marshal's office, who would want to be able to be sure he can get emergency equipment in and out, both a fire truck as well as ambulances. And your pavement would need to be able to support an 80,000-pound vehicle to get in and deal with any of your fire control. I'll let Chris talk about that further because he does have a permitting component as well.
That's not part of the deal.
No, it's not part of NGO. So we can talk about NGO in a moment, but the fire marshal's office handles this over email and phone.
I won't keep you very long. When you're ready to submit, you can submit to Lonnie's office and my office and Tanya's office, all your different set of plans all at the same time. We will not issue our permit because you'll get permits from all three offices, and we will not issue our permit until these two have approved and issued permits. But you can you'll submit a fire code application, set of plans, and a plan review packet to our office. You can find us under where he's going to departments, fire marshal. Click on fire marshal, then that right under the first section, you'll click on fire code application. Now the fire code application will have the email at the very top to send everything to. But again, as Lonnie said, this is going to be considered commercial. How big is the building proposed to be?
We're not sure yet, but we're gonna have multiple units. So just a few points I need to clarify. So you're saying that right now it would be considered as commercial. Does that mean we have to do rezoning? Because right now it's zoned as farm or agriculture.
No. So I'm going to be rude, and I'm going to say we're not California. And
Fair enough.
And a very large part of the state of Texas you will find is very much property rights oriented. So you'll see zoning in your municipalities where they're allowed to do some of that. Not necessarily in Houston, but Dallas for sure. But we do not have zoning. We have deed restrictions in some properties when they are platted, and deed restrictions are placed on the property, but even those are not something that the county enforces. Those restrictions are then enforced by the Property Owners Association or Homeowners Association. So you don't have to worry about zoning, which is awesome.
That's good to know.
But because the portions of the county that you'll be looking at are probably going to be more rural in nature, you will have to concern yourself with how are you going to get a well drilled and how are you going to handle your wastewater. And there will be obviously some access concerns that you'll want to tend to. Now, here's the next thing I'll suggest and I know you have a question, but just to put this out before I forget, if you go to our GIS map, you can turn on the parcels layer like we have, these red lines, and you can, for that matter, turn on the aerial background with the background mapping and floodplains. And you can take a look around the county. You click on a piece of property, it'll tell you how big the property is, and give you some other pertinent details. And it is a way for you to do some research and possibly find a piece of property that might make more sense for you. Again, this is one that could work. You will know from national news, and the more local people will know that this summer there was a major flood event in Kerr County, which is west of here. They typically have less rainfall than we do. And there were almost a couple hundred people that died because of the flood event. So we're very cognizant right now, and generally, of flooding being a concern for safety and welfare. So it's worth bearing in mind. The nice low spots, you get great water, and you got nice creeks, but you have to be careful about whether or not people can get in and access if someone's ill or if a fire comes up. So,
Hey, Cindy, for that, that when you're mentioning zoning, you may want to talk to the appraisal district, and let them know what you're going to be doing. They may be able to keep your ag exemption, but then they're going to probably take into consideration whatever kind of facilities you're going to be putting out there also.
Appraisal district.
Appraisal district, yes.
Is that part of the county or is it part of the city?
it's a agency that helps with tax appraisal for assessing how much the property is worth and the improvements are worth, so that the appropriate tax rate is applied. Now, that stated, and Commissioner Amsler, you may be able to better answer this question. If it's a Buddhist retreat, if it's a religious retreat, are they tax exempt?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay, so that's something to look into as well, Cindy, is
Yes.
whether or not there's some exemptions for religious organization, even as a retreat. And as Wayne points out, I know beekeeping is a traditional activity as well as other animal welfare. And so that may very well be worth looking into. Cindy, there's also a Buddhist priest retirement facility, I think in Cut and Shoot, or somewhere over near Conroe.
We also have the one off of Melman.
Okay, and there's one off of Melman. They may be able to give you some guidance as far as their experiences in Texas, as well as just general county interaction. So that it's worthwhile to look at other people in your community and get some answers from them. I wouldn't imagine it would be a competitive situation as much as something where y'all are sharing.
Yeah. Well, we'll reach out to them to see any advices they can assist us with. So I'll go to the appraisal district website and just see, with the tax exempt and in terms of the agricultural wise, how much beekeeping we have to keep. But you mentioned about a detention. I'm not quite sure what that is. What is a detention?
So I'll back up and give you the sort of the brief layman's description of what that entails. Effectively, and you've seen this in California, and we've seen it. It's not like California is unique, but
We are unique.
with regards to this, so when you have rainfall, the rain comes down and it hits the ground. If you're hitting soil and plants and vegetation, that soil absorbs some of the water. The plants take care of some of the water. It runs off at a certain rate. If I take those plants away and I add a hard surface like a roof or a road, or even for that matter, a solid, not solid, it's liquid, but a surface that doesn't absorb water like a pond, your water runs off faster. And not only does it run off faster, but more of it runs off, because while your concrete or your gravel or your roof will absorb some of that precipitation, it doesn't absorb as much as your raw land. Right. So what we do is we say, hey, get your engineer to calculate what is it like now, what's it, you have your ultimate build out, give us the storage volume, and then restrict the runoff for that storage volume. And typically that's going to be done in a surface pond, whether it's a dry open space that fills up and then depletes, or a wet pond where your freeboard, where the surface between the tile bank and the water surface, where that volume is sufficient to hold your water and let it roll out at a rate.
So it's like a retention pond.
Yes. Now, the difference between retention and detention, so that the next time you talk to somebody, you got it stuck in your head.
Okay.
Remember when you were in high school? And
That
there
was
were-
a long time ago.
Yeah. You remember those kids that had to stay behind?
Me,
You stayed behind in after-school detention,
most of the time.
but you got to go home
But I got to go home.
later. Yeah. So you got to go home later. But retention means you want to keep that person there forever.
Oh no. That's
Yeah.
prison.
So retention is prison, detention is after school. So,
Got it.
yeah, so what we're doing is we're detaining that water and letting it run off more slowly instead of retaining it, which would be your standing pond.
Got it. It's like a detention basin.
Yeah, exactly.
You missed that word basin. That's why I didn't get it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, Cindy, there can be a retention pond where you have a constant water level, for you put a fountain or something out there, but then the detention could be on top of that retention pond. So it'd still be called a retention pond, but you'd have detention on top of it.
Understood.
You wouldn't
Understood.
have to have a separate detention pond if you wanted to make just, one pond with for aesthetics or something.
Is there a size requirement for the detention basin?
Your design engineer would have to figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll want to get an engineer to look once you have a property and a site plan. Get an engineer to look at it and give you a sense of what's going to be involved. Now, we do have regulations listed online, and if you've got somebody on your current team that has some technical savvy, can do some calculations, you can play around with it a little bit, because we have a minimum volume requirement of 0.55 acre feet per acre of impervious cover. Now, that's a weird terminology, but basically that means a foot of volume or a foot of depth over an acre is 1 acre foot. So we're looking at roughly a foot deep and a half an acre in size, a little bit over half an acre in size, for every acre of impervious cover.
Jeez.
Yeah, we
That's
get
like-
the water.
So that's like 7 acre, almost the size, because it's 13 acre land, right? And it's half an acre per acre. That's almost 7 acre.
But you may not be covering the whole 13 acres with impervious cover.
That's true.
Yeah. And you can, it doesn't have to be a foot deep. It could be 6 feet deep. Which then brings it down. We do have some limits on side slopes, but your engineer should be able to read the regulations and play with those bits and pieces.
Okay. And then from the fire department, you mentioned that we have to create another fire access from, if you can pull up the map on Zone A again. So besides the main entrance, so from Zone A, besides the main entrance, we have to create another fire access from the back.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
No, your main access can be the fire department access. It just has to be built to, or I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, but updated to support 80,000 pound maximum weight fire trucks.
Oh, the pavement.
And there's like a 20-foot minimum width also.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be pavement. It can be, what's some other good materials?
Well,
Crushed rock,
asphalt.
Palladium.
Yeah.
But it still has to be built and packed in to support that 80,000 pound maximum fire truck.
Got it.
And another thing to bear in mind is your access will be off of Highway 6, State Highway 6 for this property. And so if you're looking at, if you do purchase this property and choose to develop it, then your access will need to be coordinated with TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
We're not getting the sound, so if there's something you need to ask us, say it again.
No, I don't have a question. I understand. There was you recommend a feasibility study. So this feasibility study will include how to build the detention basin and also a preliminary, like conceptual design and the requirements. So what benefit would a feasibility study have for us? Because it will cost a lot of money to do a FS study.
So, what I was mentioning that very casually, because we don't have a requirement for feasibility study, we do have a requirement for engineered plans. So what I was sort of alluding to, I suppose, is your engineer should be able to sit down once he knows what you want to do and give you some recommendations, and that shouldn't be a terribly expensive amount of effort. I'm talking even sitting down with his calculator and his pad and looking at you across the table saying, we could do this, we could do that. Not necessarily a full-blown report that you'd have to submit to anybody. It's just really a matter of deciding, in my opinion, if it was me doing this, I would get an engineer and potentially a realtor and look at properties with an eye towards what you want to do and decide, yes, there's enough room to put in our wastewater, there's enough room to put in our detention, we can bring our access in off of this road, and this would be a beautiful spot for our encampment, and that would be the way to go. You assemble a team, have an engineer on retainer. There are some small firms in and around Waller County that I'm sure you'd be able to work out an arrangement with.
I have a quick question for Tanya. She mentioned you can have the septic spray in the floodplain. Tanya, can it go across the bottom of the creek?
No. There's setback requirements to the creeks and that.
Okay, because with those 3 creeks out there, even putting out spray heads, I think, is going to be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Depends on how big.
Yeah, it depends on the size, how many, the engineer will be able to design that. We can do half sprays, not 180 versus, full sprays.
Tanya, how expensive are these aerobic spray system? Just if by chance, do you know?
I can tell you just a standard 500 ATU system for a standard residential home. Let's say 3 bedrooms under 2,500, depending on the terrain and things. But mostly, I want to say I've heard them about 8,000 to 10,000, and that's just on a standard 500. So when you begin bigger size, more spray heads, whether you've got to sleeve, going over driveways and things like that, parking, it does get a little more expensive.
So the size of the spray depends on the number of occupancy that we're expected to have.
Right. So the size of the system will be based on how many homes, how many structures, how many people per structure, and then that goes on then to calculate out to the size of the sprays that will be required. On our website, under environmental, there's a list of designers as well, installers, quite a few that know the county guidelines around here, have worked in the county. Again, like I said, it depends on how many structures and the usage. If it's, will depend on the size.
What is your largest size and what is the ballpark of that price?
That I could not answer. So it depends on a lot of things and how it's designed, whether we have a dosing in front of it, whether we have several 1,500 ATUs. It just depends on that. So it's not easy to answer that question.
Do you think Mitch and Joe's system might give them a sense
The what?
over off of Kyle Road,
Kyle Road,
RV Park?
RV Park. Yeah, offhand, I don't know the numbers on it.
Yeah, but do you think that would be?
How many structures are you looking at having?
So the homes that we show you, I think that one is roughly about 2,000 to 3,000 square foot. We plan to develop it in phases. So in the initial phase, we can have just 1 or 2, and then as we move to phase 2, we, depending on the amount of donation money that we have, then we can move to phase 2. So it's we're looking at to develop between 2 to 10 structures, but we will move it from different phases.
Okay.
Sure.
So you can do the systems in phases too. So let's say your first phase, you're going to have 3 homes. So your designer will design a system just for those 3 homes. But if you know your long-term range, that is good to give them as well. So locations of sprays and things like that can be an overall plan.
So if there's quite a few people, Tanya, what would that be, over 5,000, instead of the regular house with a package plant where it actually is like a
So-
wastewater treatment system? Would that be more efficient?
Again, it's based on the numbers, and what Wayne is talking about, I only permit under 5,000 gallons per day. Otherwise, from there, you have to get a package plan. So if the total of all structures is going to be over 5,000 gallons per day, then you would have to go through the state TCEQ and work and getting a wastewater plan.
Okay. Your cap is 5,000.
Yes.
We are right about a minute in time.
All right.
Cindy may have some other things that we can present or discuss.
Well, I only have one quick last question. You guys pretty much cover a lot of information. And the last question I have is that on the property right now, there's already a septic tank and a well. So how many more wells we have to drill? And I thought we already have that in our and you mentioned the wastewater. You know, what kind of wastewater we need on top of what we have right now in existence.
Okay, so the septic system that you have there is a 500 ATU. It is designed for a house, so a single residential family. Your water well, you will need to speak on that. Depending on the amount of people, that will become a public water well. So the guidelines on that is different. A water well driller will be able to assist you on that, and that would become something permitted a little different and require requirements through TCEQ as well.
We should, as like we condemn it, like a public, like a park. We will similar like we go and practice meditation in the park the whole day. Like the meditation retreat, there may be about 40 or 50 people together. But if there is 3-day retreat, some people will sleep inside the park. So that what I mean is it should be like similar like conducting meditation retreats in the parks for 3 days, 5 days like that, about 40 or 50 people. So for those who are away from their home, they will sleep in the park. And it should be like forest park. We should think about like this. It will be for the first step. If we can use like a public forest park to conduct meditation retreat, it will be more easy that I think.
Marty family house also. Marty family. ချက်ဘူးလား အဲ့မလည်းချက်ဘူးလို့တမာဒီ family ဆိုတဲ့ channel မှာအဲ့50လောက်စောက်ပြီးတော့မိသားစုညနေနေ့ဒါလည်းကြွယူထားတာဟုတ်တယ်ကျွတ်တယ်အစီစု
အဲ့မကောင်းတော့
Like the park also have structures too that people stay in.
Yes, some people will sleep in the back like that.
Yeah.
Rồi lại wifi မရတော့လားမသိတခြားတစ်ခုနဲ့ဝင်လို့ရလားအဲ့ဆုံး
ပြီးတော့ဟိုပြလာဆုံးပြန်တယ်
ဆုံးပြတ်သွားဆိုတော့အချိန်ကုန်သွားလို့ဖြစ်
ပြန်ဝင်လို့
ပြတ်ဒီမှာဒီ
နောက်လည်းအသက်ပေးတယ်
I know. Save the truth. Very detailed. So it's good. We don't have to fly over.
Cindy, what I'm thinking is, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Tiana.
Yes. That should be for the first step. That 14 acres should be like forest park. So, like similar like it is better if we can use to conduct meditation retreat for 3 days, 5 days in that forest park. About 40 people, 50 people. For those who are far away from their house, they can sleep in the park, in that place. So, in this way, there will be public restroom. And for shelter, we can sleep together in under one of the roof. If the weather is good, we can use our own small tent or mobile home, small tent or small house. So if we can use like this, it is also better.
So that means that you will be using this house as one house only. You will not develop it. You will not put more structure in it. You have to leave you have to put the property as is.
Yes, for the first step, if it take too long to use as public place, we can use as it is, like update park. Now in the park cannot sleep people, but some of the park can stay for 24 hours. So if it's so, that place is suitable. That is what I understand. After that, we can. This is for the first step. For the second step, we should ask permission to make more permanent building like that.
So here are the things for you to consider in Seattle.
Yes.
If you are buying a house that is 3,000 square foot and a 16-acre lot, like that's all you're looking for, there are more areas that will fit your criteria, but for cheaper. Because this land is not suitable to develop at this time. If you only use it for that purpose only, for the house and the 16-acre land, this price is a little bit too much. This price is only suitable if you can use the 16-acre land, but right now you cannot. Online, can you explain? You understand what I mean?
So we can negotiate a better price.
ဆရာတော်သူကဒီ ကြောက်ဧကနဲ့ဆိုရင်တော့เนาะဒီပေးတဲ့ပတ်စံများနေတာပေါ့ဆရာသိလားဒီနားမှာတွေကိုဆရာတော်လုံးမဲ့ purpose နဲ့တွေကိုအဲ့နားမှာတွေကိုထပ်ရှာလို့ရတာပေါ့ဒီတဲ့ဈေးပုံတန်နေဥစ္စာဘယ်မှာလို့အမပြောတာနားလေတဲ့အပိုင်းကတော့
14 acre.
Cindy, so where's is it property around there? Got a way better price.
Yeah, of course. Because it's already 1 hour outside the city. I sent him, I sent Seattle one of the link to like a 10-acre that is only $220 something thousand. So in Texas, if you go out of the main downtown, like main Houston, right? And for small homes, like a single family home with 10, 15 acre, it's fairly cheap. Like you can find it between like under 500,000. The reason why this property is so expensive is because of their farming, their structure. They have their bees, or it's not even the location. So my point is that you're buying a land that in 5 years, it's almost that you cannot develop. Because if you look at the zone A, it's flooded. And from their requirements that they're saying, okay, so first they recommend us to do a feasibility study. Every time you hear someone recommend a feasibility study, that means that the development is very complex. So I do feasibility study. It's conceptual designs, and it's called all kind of civil engineering. So when they recommend you, even though it's not a requirement, when they recommend you to do an FS study, it means that, hey, it's more complex than you think, and it's better to have civil engineer come down and have some design engineer to know exactly what you can do or you cannot do. A feasibility study is saying that, what can you do, So they first ask, like, you need to go and have a surveyor come down and do a elevation certification. That's the first step. And then you got your wastewater, you got your detention, basin, and a lot more things a lot more hoops and hurdles that you have to overcome in order to develop this, let alone the money. So in the beginning, if you say, okay, my goal is to only use this house and the 16-acre as site, as scenery, like, just for scenery only or for camping, then that price is not justifiable. But if you buy a piece of land, for example, if you go to another area where it's outside of the flood zone, it has a single family home with about 10 acres that you can use. But for you in the next few years, for you to build is very feasible. Then it makes sense. You got to buy the present and you got to buy the potential in the future also.
Yeah.
So that is my thinking on on this property. The owner lives there because they only use it for their whole family only. It's not for public use. They have no plan to develop them. You know, they use it for bees and they use it for harvesting, for farming. We have a totally different intention for usage.
Yeah.
I can tell you that even before you build or you have any structure on this property, there's a lot of things for you to do in terms of timing and money.
So yeah, it's like this one gonna be our, more priority, and because of what engineering and all those department talk about. So
Yeah, we put a trailer on there. No additional structure.
yeah.
But
So if Seattle wants to start something right away and just use the main house and the forest, there are other alternatives that are cheaper.
no, not like that, Cindy. I already visit some of the park and also some of the property, but not like that. The forest is really useful. I mean, with many big tree. Some of the house are not much tree, not much big tree. In that area, there are many big tree. So besides 14 acre is big enough for many people to stay for a short time or a few days like that. So the house is also really nice compared with other house, other properties. So if it should be a park. It should be a park for the meditator. So who come and meditate in the forest, it should be really nice. They can practice meditation under the tree by themselves, or they can practice together under they can practice together in temporary Dhamma hall also. So if you see it, you will understand more clearly. We already see this.
Are you
Yeah.
okay with not being able to develop this? Are you okay with just using the house and the forest only? Like you cannot put anything on it or have the money to build it. That's the question that you have to answer. That in the next few years you will not be able to build anything on this property, and you're going to be okay with that.
Yes, it is. What I understand is we can use like trailer like that, mobile home. So that is for temporary. It's also okay. For those who want to come and stay for short time, they can stay with temporary tent. It's also okay. Not much building. What I understand is to use as a park, we can make some of the road, some of the playground like that. It is okay.
No playground.
No playground. Yes.
So Seattle, I sent you a link. I sent it in the group again. If
Yes.
you look at the city Beaumont, for example, I just sent it in the in the Redland group, Redland 31. There's a link there I just sent. For example, the city Beaumont, which is about 1 hour from Houston as well, and it has about 10 acre. The house is there with the pond, with the lake, and it's not in the flood zone. So what I'm saying is that you can look around these properties. Can someone put a link for him?
Yes. We will see, and we will reply you our comment.
Yes. So you can look. This is only one of the example.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that around that area, there are many properties similar to this that you can also see. If you can view this property right now, you will see big trees, pond, and look at the price of it, and it's only minutes from the I-10. So
Yes.
Hempstead is on the left side of Houston, and this is on the right side of Houston.
So yes. One of the good point is nearby ABC Center. So we can if we need big ceremony, we can also use ABC Center, only 7 miles far away. That is also one of the good point. Right? We need to think about the neighbor also.
ဆရာတော်ဟုတ်တာပေါ့တိလား ဝယ်ခြင်းကိုယ့်ဘာကိုယ်ဝယ်ပေါ့တိလားမရဘူးဟိုကလုံးဝတော့ကွန်မန့်မလုပ်ဘူးထားလိုက်တော့ဒီဥစ္စာပေါ့နော်ပြီးသူနေရတော့မရဘူးသူကတော့အရင်စန့်ချင်တယ်
ဟုတ်ပါအဲ့လိုတော့မဟုတ်ပါဘူးသူကလည်းသူရှင်ကြည့်တာပေါ့နော်လိုအပ်တယ်ဆိုရင်ဟိုဟာကြည့်လိုက်တာပေါ့သူပြောတဲ့နေရာနဲ့ရှင်ကြည့်လိုက်မယ်လေအဲ့ဒါပဲသူပြောလို့စား
Only the link that I sent you is exactly the house that Seattle wants to build, and look, has an aerobic septic system. That's what you need to put in. This is the kind of property that is very similar to what you want to put in your 13 acre. You see how it's elevated?
16 yeah I saw that
13 is elevated, and it requires you to have that pond right there and an aerobic septic system.
so it's already designed that way already
Yes.
Yes, we will see we were trying to see your suggested place also. So if needed, we can go and see again. We all can go together and make decision. It's also okay.
So I think the property that you like in Hempstead, it's a very beautiful property for the present moment that you can use.
Yes.
In the future, I cannot see it as something that we can develop. If we want to use it as a home, it's a good home. It's a nice home. It's a
Yes.
nice forest. But if you want to create it into a center, it's not a ideal place to create a center because of its limitations.
But what I understand is we can buy some more land or property nearby for the next step. For the first step, that 14 acres should be like coming and staying for short term only. It's also okay. If we want to extend,
It's a waste that you cannot use. You can only use about main house. The rest of the land you cannot use them.
main house mean we can use the forest.
main house ဆိုတာဆရာတော်တကယ်လုံးမှာပေါ့နော်တကယ်လုံးမဲ့ project နဲ့ကြတော့ဟိုပြောနေတာလို့မျိုးပေါ့နော်မူရကုန်တာများပြီးတော့မှပြန်လာတော့မထိရဘူးပေါ့နော်
But yes, I understand. The weakness of the ABC is not much big tree, so very hot. So compared with ABC, that 14-acre forest is really nice and very shady. So if we combine ABC have big building, the Mahal, but not much big tree in that property area. Although there are over 500 acres, only a few acres are using for construction. So I'm thinking.
Do they let you use it, Seattle, ABC?
Possible because what I understand is not much difficult. They are willing to, because we have different people in our group. So that's why they are interested to our group. They don't have much people. Not much monks are staying in ABC Center. So concerned with Vietnamese community, we are not much difficult.
So you think that they will allow us to use some of their facility?
Yes, for sure, because they are over 500 acres. So for me, I can understand about the founder of ABC Center. That's why they may also need follower, they may need meditation teacher, or they only have acre of land. So in the long term, we can work together. I can use it. In my side, we don't have much land, but we have more follower, more human resource. And that's why if we work together with ABC Center, we both can save greater merits. That is what I understand, yes. If we think another place, it will be cheap, but maybe difficult to use as a center like ABC. ABC is really nice place, really good model
So
for.
right now we are buying a property with the contingency that the next door facility will allow us to work together, and we have no agreement. We just assume that they will allow us to, work together with them and use their facility. That is something that it's unheard of, because they are not an individual owner of a Buddhist temple. They are an organization. So
Yes.
I didn't speak to them, so I'm really not sure if that's something that can you take Emma? Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's something that they Olin, how do you explain this?
Huh?
Can you explain? I mean, we're buying a property with the assumption that ABC is going to let us be synergy with them, But from my understanding, ABC is not a private owned facility. They have an organization, and I don't think it's that simple that we say, hey, can we use half of your property, and they'll be okay with it. So, we're buying a property that is dependent on something that is unknown. I haven't been to ABC, so I don't know.
Yeah.
They might say yes to the first time, but in the long term, I think it would be a big inconvenience for them if we keep using the space like that.
Well, what made you think so? I mean, like they seem like they don't have enough. They don't attract, so many meditators, right? I never been there.
But you have to speak to the headquarters. You cannot speak to the monk that resides there. They don't have any authority.
But in my experience, we are not relying on someone or something for long term, just for temporary. After that, we are sure to survive by ourselves. There are also many land and property we can buy with cheap price nearby also. That's why. But the other land are not like 14 acre. That's the difference. Ming, you should go and see the property. Cindy suggested 1 hour away from Houston. You should compare with these two. Yes, you are near. If needed, we will come and see also.
Okay.
Yes.
If you want, I can try to find more properties.
Yes.
And plan to come back here anyway, right? So we can see them all within a day.
Yes. You should go and see first because you already experienced 14 acre, so you can compare what is good points, weakness, like that. It is better for me to think for long term, and then we don't need to think again. We need only one sample, one model for the Bawa Center. That's why we are trying to find one of the model. Now we already opened many center. For me, I already opened over 100 meditation center, but not much good model. Only a few. 3, 4, 5 center are good model. The rest are not the best condition, not the best location, like that. I'm trying.
That's why I look at the long-term Seattle, that I wanted Texas to be the model.
Yes.
if that 14-acre is something that we can develop, it would be a really good model. So not only that we're buying for the current time, we're buying 5-10 years down the road too.
Yes.
And right now we only think it's convenient for this year, but it's going to be very inconvenient in 5 years when you want to create this into a model of Tabawa Center, because I can tell you that land development from the meeting with the city. If I were an investor, if I were somebody to develop this site into a center, it is not something that it makes sense, in terms of time investment and money investment.
But what I understand is, I want to use the forest. There are many forests, but not much suitable for practicing meditation. That forest is preserved for many years. That's why.
But they don't even allow you to to open it for public use. Even if you don't build structure and you open up for people from that are not residents of that house, they don't even allow you to open it up for public use, Seattle.
Yes. If we cannot use for public, we can use only for meditators, volunteer. So it's also okay.
Volunteers are public.
Not much people, I mean. If we want to use for public, we can start from that. About 40-50 people is also okay to contact me.
That is considered public use. If you have 40 or 50 people, that is public use.
Yes.
Yeah, without a permit, that's all we can do. What about
We can think it, and then we can, if not work, we can sell again also. It's also easy. We can sell that if not much using.
See, I want to try it out.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna do two things at the same time. First, we're gonna see the property that Miss City suggested.
Yes.
I'm going to send you a few more.
Yeah, and we also do the feasibility study for the land, the 13 acre. That's
No, we're not gonna do a feasibility study.
Don't? Okay. But I think we should also have a deadline. If you really wanna open it like this year or next year, we can't just keep fighting like that. So if you want, we should put a deadline, like within a year. If we cannot fight anything, we should pick one. And just like Sajado say, we can try it and resell if he wants to.
Yes.
Time, we won't take a year, we will only spend a few weeks.
But Miss
Yes.
Cindy, so the feasibility study, it costs money and time. That's why you don't want to do it, right?
Doesn't make sense to have a feasibility study. You're not building a factory, So when you have planning, you have your civil engineer, that is enough already. A feasibility study is when you use it to raise funds. It's a report that they study what your goals and objectives and your purpose and conceptual design, and then you use that to find investors, or you use it to find people to fund it in the money. That's why you need a feasibility study.
But if we had to, buy that land, that property, we still need to study it.
It's not required. It's not required.
Okay.
ဆရာတော်ဒီကားလေwhen I catch you off လေဆရာတော်ဒီဥစ္စာဒီဝယ်ဒီတိုင်းဝယ်ပေါ့နော်အချက်တက်ဒီလိုက်ကြည့်နေတော့ဝယ်ပြမှာမဟုတ်
ဟုတ်ပြီ
ဘာလို့လူစီးတီးက favor မပေးဘူးပေါ့နော်သူကတော့ဒါတမီခက်ခဲအောင်လုပ်တာခက်တဲ့လောက်တာခက်တဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးဖြစ်နေတာပေါ့နော်
ဟုတ်ပြီ
I will feasibility test လို့မျိုးပါလို့ကြတော့ဒါကခုနစင်ပြီးပြောတာဒါကကြတော့ဒီလိုတောင်းနေဆိုတော့ဒါသူကတော်ကြီးကိုဖြစ်ဖို့ခဲရင်လို့ပေါ့နော်ဒီမျိုးသူကလောက်ခိုင်းတာပေါ့
ဟုတ်မှာဒါတော့တေးကြအောင်ပေါ့နိသူတို့ဘက်ကရပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီတိုင်းစမ်းကြည့်ရင်တော့ရတယ်လေလိုအပ်တယ်ဆိုရင်ဆရာတို့ဖလော်ရီဒါလိုပဲလေ Linနဲ့ခဏသွားလိုက်ရနိနင်တက်တာချင်းမဆရာတော်3ဦးသွားလိုက်ရတွက်ကြည့်လိုက်ပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒါဆိုရင်တခါလေးပြီးတော့ပါနော်ဒီအားချင်းသွားလိုက်ရင်တော့အဲ့ဒါဆိုတော့ပို့ပြီးတော့ဆုံးဖြတ်တာလွယ်သွားမှာဆရာတော်လည်းတေချာလိုက်ကြည့်လို့ရလी final မလုပ်ခင်ဆုံးဖြတ်ခြင်းတယ်ဆိုရင်လည်းပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုလည်းရတယ်ဟိုအဓိကတော့မင်းကအရင်ကြည့်ထားလိုက်မယ်လေဒီရက်ပိုင်းမှာကြည့်ထားပြီးတော့ဒါတခြားဟာတွေကတိတ်အဆင်မပြေဘူးဆိုရင်အဲ့နေရာကိုပဲရွေးလိုက်လို့ရတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဒီကလို့တခြားနေရာတွေကအဆင်ပြေတယ်ဆိုရင်နှိုင်းရှင်ဖို့အတွက်ဆရာတော်တွက်ကြည့်လိုက်လို့ရတယ်ဒီနေရာရွေးမလားတခြားနေရာရွေးမလားဆရာတော်တော့အတွေ့အကြုံတွေအများကြီးရှိရနိ
အဲ့ပိုင်းကြတော့တပည့်တော်နားလေတာပေါ့နော်သူတို့ကြတော့ဘယ်လောက်ထိပြောတယ်ဆိုရင်သူတို့ကတော့ဖြစ်ဆရာတော်ကိုယ့်ဘာကိုဝယ်လိုက်ပေါ့လေလားသူ့အကူကြီးရတော့မရ
အမဟုတ်အဲ့လိုမဟုတ်ပါဘူးအဲ့လိုမဟုတ်ပါဘူးဆရာတော်ကဒီကိစ္စတွေကဒီလိုလူတွေနဲ့အများကြီးကြုံနေကြပါဆရာတော်ကသိတယ်လေသူတို့ရဲ့စိတ်တွေကိုသိတယ်လေသူတို့ရဲ့အကျင့်တွေကိုသိတယ်ပေါ့ဒါအောင်လင်းအနေနဲ့ကတစ်မျိုးပေါ့အဲ့လိုဆရာတော်ကြတော့အဲ့လိုမျိုးမဖြစ်နိုင်ဘူးဆိုတာတွေပဲဖြစ်အောင်ပေါ့နော်နားလည်အောင်ရှင်းတကယ်တော့ကျတော့ဒါအကျိုးရှိတယ်လေကိုလူရင်ကိုအကျိုးရှိတယ်လူတဲ့လူအကျိုးရှိတယ်လေအဲ့တော့စင်ဒီလဲကုလိုတွေလုံနေတာဆိုတော့သူတရားကိုလှုပ်ကြည့်လိုက်ရင်သူကတခြားရှုတော့အောင်ကြည့်လို့ဆရာတော်ရှုတော့အောင်ကြည့်ရင်ဒါမှမဟုတ်သူကိုယ်တိုင်မြင်လိုက်ရင်တော့တစ်မျိုးဖြစ်သွားမှာအဲ့လိုမျိုးအဲ့ဒါကတော့ဆရာတော်လုံနေကြပါသူတို့နားလေတဘောပေါအောင်ပြောပြအဓိကတော့နားမလဲလို့ပေါ့နော်သူကကုလိုတွေဒီလောက်လုံနေပြီးတော့တခြားနေရာတွေတဲ့ဆိုင်အဲ့နေရာပို့တော့မှအသုံးတဲ့တွေဆရာတော်ကမြင်ရလေအဲ့နေရာကျမှ तू မလူဘူးဆိုရင် तू သူ့အတွက်နစ်နာတာပေါ့လို့လည်းရှိတယ်ဒါအစွမ်းကုန်တော့သူ့ကိုပြောပြမှာ
တရားစခန်းလုံးမယ်ဆိုပြီးအခုတပည့်တော်နားလေတယ်တရားစခန်းလုံးမယ်မလုပ်ဖြစ်ဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ကိစ္စနဲ့မဟုတ်ဘူးငကူတဲ့ဝါဒမျိုးတိတဲ့ဝယ်မယ်ဆိုရင်တော့တပိုင်းပေါ့နော်သူနားလေလိုက်တာကြောင့်ဆရာတော်ကတရားစခန်းလုံးမယ်အခုမေးကြည့်လိုက်တော့ခက်ခဲတွေကများတယ်ပေါ့နော်တော့များတယ်အဲ့ကြတော့ तू point out လုပ်ပြရတဲ့ပိုင်းကကြတော့ဒီလောက်ပဲပေါ့ဒီလောက်နဲ့ဒီဟို similar နေရာလေးရတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကြတော့ तू ကမမြင်ပဲနဲ့ပြောနေတာပေါ့ဆရာသိလား
तू ကအမော့
အကောင်းဆုံးကတော့တွက်ကြည့်လိုက် तू ကိုယ်တိုင်မြင်လို့ရှိရင်လည်းဒါစိတ်ပြောင်းသွားတယ်နော်ဒီကတက်ပုံကြီးကနေကြည့်ပြောနေကြ तू လည်းနားမလည်နိုင်ဖြစ်
ဟုတ်တယ်လေအဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မင်းကိုအရင်ပြောခိုင်းရင်မင်းကတော့ပုံနားလည်နိုင်တယ်လေ तू နေရာတွေကိုအရင်ရှင်းကြည့်ခိုင်းလိုက်မယ်ဆရာတို့လည်းဒီမှာတရားစခန်းရှိတော့လေတရားစခန်းလေးအရင်သွားလိုက်အောင်ပေါ့ဒါမို့ဒီအားချင်းအခုသွားလို့ရလားရရင်အခုသွားပြီးတော့ချက်ချင်း
ရတယ်ဆရာဟမ်ဒီတပည့်တော်တို့ဒီမန်ဒီလောက်စထွက်သွားလိုက်ရ
အမဒီကြားထဲမှာဟိုအရင်ကြည့်ခိုင်းလိုက်မယ်လေထွက်မထွက်ဆိုတာလေမင်းကိုအရင်ကြည့်ခိုင်းလိုက်မယ်ကြည့်လို့လိုအပ်တယ်ဆိုရင်ဆရာတို့မန်ဒီမှာထွက်လိုက်မယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးရွေးစရာမရှိရင်တော့အဲ့ဒါပဲရွေးရမှာပဲလေဒီကလည်းရပါတယ်ဒီဘက်ကဆရာတို့ကမဖြစ်အောင်လုပ်ရင်တော့ဆရာတို့ကလုပ်နေကြပဲလေဒီဘက်ကဟိုဆရာလေးကုတလာလည်းသိတာအဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မို့ So Cindy yes it is better for this weekdays weekends men should go and see the land and property you suggest and then she will report us the comparison so if the new property are better we will go and see on Monday we will go and see on Monday if not comparable with 14 acre so we should go and see or we should make decision without going also because men can understand yes
give me 1 second I'm going to check the flight really quick
yes
I want to see when is the
one way ကိုတက်လေဒီတဲ့နေရကြပါရှိတယ်ဘယ်နေ့ပြန်လာလို့ရလင်းကတော့အများနဲ့ရှိပါနဲ့တယ်အသွားပြန်ရှိတာနေချင်းသွားနေချင်းပြန်လည်းရတယ်
yeah flight right now because it's so short notice is quite expensive okay let's decide Monday
yes
when do you have time to go see maybe this week
Yes, I can do that maybe tomorrow.
Yes,
do you want to ask Lena to go with you
Yes, if you want to see the inside too, I need to talk to the realtor so she can take us inside.
Yeah, you probably need to speak to
Yeah.
Jeju.
To her. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should
Let
go.
her know that we will make a decision before Monday. So if we cannot find anything else, we will send in this offer for her.
That's,
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. You should go and see inside also because we need to compare everything.
So,
The land, the house, yeah. The neighbor also.
Okay, let me see.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, Tiano.
Thank
we will
you.
touch base and we'll wait for you, Hamin.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes.